You exist in a galaxy of 400 billion suns. 10 billion ancient years have passed. Trillions of worlds have orbited, cooled, and offered themselves to life. And yet, you hear nothing. Not one signal, not one transmission, not even static. For 100 years, Earth has been screaming into the dark. Radio, television, desperate hellos carved into mathematics. You are shouting inside a soundproofed room the size of the cosmos. So I ask you, where are they? Or worse, what killed every one of them before their voices could ever reach you? By the end of this, you will know what the trap is and why you are already standing inside it. Summer 1950, a cafeteria in Los Alamos, the birthplace of weapons that ended cities. Enrico Fermi, the man who built the first nuclear reactor beneath a Chicago stadium, sits eating lunch with three colleagues. They joke about flying saucers, a tabloid craze sweeping the country. The conversation drifts into silence. Then Fermi asks, almost casually, "Where is everybody?" It was not a joke. It was the most disturbing question of the 20th century, dressed as lunch talk. The Milky Way is 10 billion years old. Earth took 4 billion years to evolve from sterile rock into a species capable of asking about its own extinction. Less than half the galaxy's age. If life is not special, if chemistry follows the same rules everywhere, then civilizations should have risen billions of years before you. With billions of years to grow, to build, to spread across the stars, a single species sending self-replicating probes could colonize every star in this galaxy within 10 million years. 10 million, a geological blink, a rounding error in cosmic time. So where is the evidence? Where are the megastructures, the radio signals, the waste heat of Dyson spheres harvesting whole stars? Where are the ruins, the derelict ships, the fossilized outposts on dead moons? You are standing in a mansion. Every door is open, every light is on, every room empty. The table is set, the food is still warm, but there are no hosts, no guests, no bodies. Just the silence of a place abandoned in a hurry. Fermi was not asking where they went. He was asking something darker. What stopped them from ever reaching you? What lies between the first radio transmission and the silence that always follows? And the question that kept him awake at night, is that same filter waiting for you right now? 4 billion years. That is how long Earth has orbited this star without being sterilized by a gamma-ray burst. Without a planet-killing asteroid reducing the surface to molten glass. Without the sun's luminosity spiking and boiling the oceans away. You exist because of an unbroken chain of cosmic luck stretching back to the first replicating molecule. But here is what should terrify you. Probability does not favor singular miracles. With 2 trillion galaxies, each containing hundreds of billions of stars, the math guarantees that other worlds have enjoyed this same stability. Longer stability. Better stability. If every star in the observable universe were a single grain of sand, you would not have enough beach on Earth to hold them all. And yet, silence. So where are they? In 1981, physicist Frank Tipler formalized what is now called the von Neumann probe argument. A sufficiently advanced civilization could build self-replicating machines, autonomous probes that harvest asteroids, copy themselves, and continue outward. Tipler calculated that even crawling at 1% of light speed, these probes could saturate every star in the Milky Way within 100 million years. 100 million years. The galaxy is 10 billion years old. If even one species had reached this threshold at any point in galactic history, just one, their probes should already be here. In your solar system, orbiting your planet, drifting in your asteroid belt, carved into the regolith of your moon. You have found nothing. Some say they are hiding. The dark forest hypothesis claims civilizations stay silent because announcing your presence is suicide. a predator is always listening. Others propose a galactic prime directive, a hidden code that forbids contact with primitive species like yours. But these explanations crumble under scrutiny. They demand unanimous compliance across millions of civilizations spanning billions of years. It only takes one rebel, one curious species, one expansionist empire, one dying civilization with nothing left to lose. Silence is not a strategy that scales. Silence is not a choice that survives statistical inevitability. So you are forced into darker territory. What if they were not silent by choice? What if they simply stopped? In 1996, economist Robin Hanson gave this unseen barrier a name: the Great Filter. Somewhere between the first organic molecule and a galaxy-spanning civilization, there is a step, a test, that almost no one passes. You are walking through a minefield in absolute darkness. Every evolutionary milestone you have survived, the origin of life, photosynthesis, multicellular complexity, intelligence, is another step that did not kill you. But the mines are real. You know they are real because you can see the craters. You can see the silence. Every silent star is a tombstone. Every empty world is a story that ended before anyone could hear it. Every transmission that never came is proof that something out there is faster than evolution, hungrier than progress, more patient than civilization itself. The question is not whether the filter exists. The question is whether you have already passed through it or whether you are about to step on it. You have been asking the wrong question. You stared into the dark, demanding to know where they all went, those alien minds, those vast civilizations that should be scattered across 400 billion stars. But what if they did not go anywhere? What if the silence was never about distance or hiding? What if the trap was always right in front of them, and right in front of you? There is an answer that feels safe, a hypothesis that lets you believe humanity is special, that you have already survived the worst of it. The Great Filter, in this version, lies behind you. The eukaryotic cell, the complex nucleus-bearing cell that would eventually build you, took 3 billion years to evolve. 3 billion years of failed chemistry, dead ends, stillborn complexity, before one single lineage stumbled into the design that works. If this step is as rare as it appears, most planets never crawl past microbial slime. Most worlds are graveyards of bacteria that will never become anything more. You, then, are the exception, the survivor, the one who already passed the hardest test the cosmos can offer. It is a seductive thought. It is also a lie. You did not pass anything. You are still inside the trap. The filter is not behind you. It is happening right now. And the evidence is not written in alien silence. It is written in your own history. 1945, you split the atom. 17 years later, just 17, you came within a single decision of erasing yourselves. October 1962, the Cuban Missile Crisis. Soviet submarine B-59, out of contact, depth charges exploding overhead. Officers convinced the war had already started. 3 men had to agree to launch a nuclear torpedo. 2 said yes. 1, Vasily Arkhipov, said no. You are alive because one man hesitated. Not wisdom, not foresight, luck. And you did not learn. You kept building, faster, louder. So tell me, does that sound like a species that already passed its hardest test? Today you are designing artificial minds with no consensus on how to control them. Splicing viruses in laboratories to make them more lethal, calling it research. Handing world-ending tools to systems held together by treaties, ego, and exhaustion. You are a child playing with a loaded gun you just invented. You do not even recognize it as a weapon. You think it is progress. This is the real filter, not the jump from prokaryote to eukaryote, not the ignition of consciousness, not fire or language or flight. It is the window. The horrifyingly narrow window between becoming smart enough to annihilate yourselves and becoming wise enough not to. And you are inside that window right now. The silence was never meant to comfort you. It was meant to teach you something far more unforgiving. The great filter is not a metaphor. It is a mechanism, cold, systematic, almost perfect. It catches civilizations at their most vulnerable moment, the narrow window between the power to destroy and the wisdom to survive. Nuclear fission, artificial minds, synthetic biology capable of rewriting the code of life itself. Each breakthrough arrives faster than the last. Each one carries the seed of total extinction. Every silence is not the absence of life. It is the echo of a species that once looked up at its own sky, asked the same questions you are asking now, and failed to survive the answer. The galaxy is not empty. It is a graveyard, and every burning star is a tombstone. You are standing at the edge of a cliff you cannot see. The fog is thick, so thick you cannot tell if the ground continues one more step ahead, or if there is nothing but empty air and a fall you would never survive. There is no other path. There is no turning back. This is the great filter. And you, right now watching this, are inside it. Every faint point of light in the night sky is not a beacon of hope. It is a tombstone. A star that once warmed a world where something built cities, asked questions, screamed into the dark, and then went silent. They failed a test, the same test you are taking, right now, whether you realize it or not. The filter does not announce itself. It does not warn. It does not care how clever you are. It simply waits, patient, invisible, inevitable. So I will ask you one last time, are you smart enough to see it coming? Or will you be just another voice that blinked out, orbiting a star that no longer remembers your name? The fog has not cleared, and you still do not know if your next step is solid ground or the last step you will ever take.